So this is a really good infographic, and it's because it's so simple and it delivers the information very, very quickly. So like you can tell just from the title what it's about, key benefits of automation, and then it gives you like little pie chart pieces that are actually like really important. So it's customer satisfaction, human errors, reduction, increased productivity, and cost reduction. Like you can tell that these are the key benefits of automation. But this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that I generated this image using a workflow, and we're going to generate a new one. We're going to generate like the same kind of image over this. We're going to update this image with new data, and here's how we're going to do it. This is a very simple workflow. I'm going to run through it with you just like right now, and what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how it works, and then we're going to run it. So actually, let me just run it first, just so that you see how powerful this is. Okay, let's go back, and then we'll reload the page, and as you can see, it actually like it changes the information dynamically. So now it's a totally new infographic with new data that you can like screenshot or save or do whatever you want. It's the impact of automation on businesses, on business metrics, time savings. We can run it again if you want to see just how cool this gets. Like now it's a totally different infographic. The benefits of automation, increased outputs, time savings, error reduction. Like there's power in infographics and there's power in images. Like we already know that. And the simpler your infographic is, like the easier it is for someone to read the information, the better it is. So if you can like sort of decrease the amount of time it takes for you to create infographics, you will have a ton of time to do other things in your business. Let's run through this workflow and just see how it works. So firstly, this is the edit fields node. It basically just figures out the topic. So this is the topic that I chose, and the topic is supposed to go into this next OpenAI node, just so that the model can know. So the model I'm using is GPT-4o mini, and this is because GPT-4 mini is pretty like it's smart enough to do like basic things if you tell it to do basic things. We don't need it to understand emotions or anything. We just want pure data. So yeah, I'm telling it, I need an infographic worthy data set in JSON format focused on the topic below, and then I give it the topic that we just like edited, like that we just put in. Understand that this topic could be anything that you put in dynamically. So you could have this workflow just be connected to like some Telegram messaging bot, and then you send in the message and it generates the infographic, and then it sends you the URL back. So like there's tons of applications for this, but okay, let's just continue right now. So this is the topic that we're feeding into OpenAI. So we're telling it to include a mix of categories, comparisons, and visually engaging data, and then we're giving it some kind of way to format the data so that it understands what we actually want. We want the title, so it's a sample chart, and we want the type to be a chart because like it's a pie chart, and then we want the data to be in a kind of array, right? That's what it needs to understand, and then we tell it to ensure that the data set is meaningful and easy to visualize, as you just saw right now, like very easy to visualize, because the best infographics are easy to understand by anyone. So the rules we give it is for it to give us the data and nothing else, because like sometimes, as you know, AI models tend to like give you all this I'm not going to call it bullshit, but like it's unnecessary information, unnecessary text at the top, because like that's just assistant stuff. It's like, here is the output that you wanted, unnecessary stuff. We just want the data, nothing else, because you're going to understand later on that we're actually outputting this as a JSON object, so we need that data to be in the right format. And then we're making sure that the chart data is insightful and it packs a punch, right? This is also important, right? Because you don't just want your infographic data to just be data, right? Yes, no one likes reading data. Like no one, like if you tell people, oh yeah, this is 20%, this is 10%, they don't really care about the numbers. So visually represented data is more impactful but we want the topic that we want the data that it comes up with to be like even more impactful, just so that it encapsulates what we want. So, and then yeah, make sure that the output only contains one data set. This is also crucial because sometimes when I was testing this out, it would give me multiple data sets. Like it would give me multiple of these objects, so like an array of these objects, and that's annoying when formatting the output. I just want one of them. I don't need anything else. So just give me one. And there's obviously an assistant prompt and a system prompt. I could go through those really quickly. The assistant prompt is basically just giving it an example of what I want. It's just a simple pie chart. Like you can imagine what this would look like. It would just be a pie chart with one pie having like 20% and the other pie having like 80, and then it's the efficiency gains from manual versus automation. Very simple. And then here is the system prompt that we're using. So it's like you are an expert in automation and infographics. Your target is to generate structured data sets in JSON format suitable for visual representations. Very important stuff, like very casual. It's able to figure this out, and it gives us this object, which I guess if I structure it in JSON, you can see it like much better. So it gives us the data we want, it gives us the title and the type, the chart. But this is the wrong kind of like way that we want it in. So you'll understand why later on when we're formatting the payload for the output. But here, what we have to do is we have to go, because the platform that we're using to generate these infographics is called Infogram. So in Infogram, the flow, so the way that you actually generate new infographics, is you have some template infographic. You create a copy of the template infographic. You get that ID, so the project ID of that new one. And then you change that one with the new data that you put in. And then you export that. Yes! Yes! Sorry about that. So yeah, you get the project ID of the new template, and then the new infographic, and then you export that one as like a JPEG or whatever. But here what we're doing is slightly different, and this is because we're on the free plan, right? The free plan has tons of limitations. For one thing, you can't export the JPEG. You can only export the thumbnail, but the thumbnail is way too small to do anything useful with it. So it's much more interesting, I figured, to just have it like visually like update here. And I might update it one more time just to see how cool it looks. But yeah, so here what we're doing is we're effectively just asking it for the projects that exist. And this is important so that we know, so that we can reference the right project ID. And this is it right here. And something else you might recognize is the web URL and the embed code. So the embed code is something you might use if you have a website and you want to embed the infographic there. Maybe you might even like do this dynamically, just create new data so that, say hypothetically, you have some evergreen topic, but you want new data on there. You can just embed the new data on there just to keep your topic relevant with more up-to-date information. So yeah, that's basically what it does. It just gets the project URL of this project that we're updating, and this is where all the magic happens. It's the payload that we're putting in when we're updating the demo project. So I'll run through this with you because it took me a while to like figure this out, and I'm glad it did, because when it takes you a while, that's when you know just how important it is for you to understand it. So this is we're taking the project ID from this is the project ID that we're taking from the HTTP request that just gave us the projects that exist. We're also taking the data, right, which is the content of the OpenAI that we just got. So it's all this content with the type, so the chart, the data, and the title. That's the content that we're taking in. And we're also taking in this title. As you might understand, it's very useful for us to like get the title so that we can update it over here when we're updating this. I kept this the same just to show you that some things don't need to change. but it's actually the subtitle that we could be um, updating, and you'll understand soon enough. So this is a recursive function that goes through this object, um, and it, for every number that it finds, it changes that into a string. Very complicated stuff. I will not lie to you, I used AI to generate this, because who has time to like come up with this? I mean, don't get me wrong, maybe if we were living in a world like 3 years ago, then I might have had to have time, but right now it's 2025 and no one has time for this type of coding. um, like it might be useful to understand the concepts, and I think I do. It's just like you're just finding certain things and you're mapping them, and then you're applying them to a new object. I it's relatively, I would like to think that it's relatively simple to understand, but just writing it out is something else entirely. And for the purpose of like just any code generation in general, I normally just get AI to do it, and then I update it with the right variables that it needs. But AI handles the rest, which is the power, which is just a testament to the power of AI. So yeah, this is the magic. It's the payload. So what you might understand here is you might be seeing all these different values here. Those are the element IDs that correspond to the different elements on this infographic. So this title has an element ID that you can copy just by clicking it, copying the element ID. So these element IDs, they don't change. Like you could make a copy of the template, but the element ID won't change, which is really cool when you think about it. Because it means that you can just, you don't have to keep going back to the template and trying to like manually copy down this element ID so that you can use it in your automations. You can just copy these down once. You can even copy them down and then store them in a database and then run them through dynamically if you like. Because like I don't like how this looks. I like somehow like using variables like all the time. I don't know if it's just me, but yeah, I kept this the same. Like I didn't change this at all. It's just the same. Automation is pretty cool. And then the data is this data that we're converting the numbers to the string. So it runs the function first on the data that we're getting, which is all of this content. And then we're returning the payload as a JSON, right? Which is basically this. I'll show you in the schema format. So it's basically this, just an object. And this is important for the next step, which is where we update the infographic. So here with the URL that we're using is the update project entities, and we're updating it with raw body content in content type application JSON, and with the body being the payload that we just created. So yeah, if you want to see that in action again, I can just run through it one more time for you. It's so cool, like how you can just generate infographics like these. Let's check it out. I like seeing it like go boop. So fucking cool. So yeah, like as you can see, impact of automation on business metrics, like it's just raw data again. And you might think, oh yeah, this is simple, but think about how much time it would take for someone to like come up with this, to like do the research and then to design something like this. 30 minutes to an hour, and I do it in 2 seconds. That's just the power of automation. And if you want to learn more about automation, you can just like click one of the links in the description. I'm gonna share this with you for free. Like you can get this for free in another link in the description. Just get it. If you watched this long, like thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, hopefully tomorrow. We'll see, but yeah, bye.